3 critical reasons why men shouldn't get back into relationships. You might be wondering if getting back into a relationship is the right thing to do. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 critical reasons why men shouldn't get back into relationships. I'm going to talk about something on many people's minds, whether or not they should get back into their old relationships. Now, I know that a lot of people are thinking about doing this because they're lonely or they just miss their partner. But before you make any decisions, watch this video first. I've seen women leave relationships with men who did everything they could to make the woman happy. But guess what? The woman could never find satisfaction in anything. She would always find something to complain about. And in the end, she would cheat on the guy she saw or decided that she didn't need him anymore and get a divorce or break up with him. She would always find something to complain about. You guys easily forget all of the anguish and suffering that your exes put you through to the point where you've had to hunt for answers since you are one of the many types of men who do not have long memories. Permit me to tell you something. Most guys, including myself, are just one job away from the plantation. So I can identify with the desire to have someone who will be devoted, submissive, and cooperative with you. Always remember, though, that women have that canine instinct, and the lady you're dating is probably not any different from any other woman in this regard. Either she behaves in a certain way to achieve what she wants from you, or she does not see the value in acting out because the relationship is still in its early stages. Since your perspective on life is the only thing that has changed, gentlemen, you can't afford to let yourself get vulnerable and believe things will go differently this time. You now have the wisdom to determine how to approach this quotation most efficiently, since you understand that the RP is simply a philosophy that aims to uncover socially concealed facts. Even though the RP cannot prevent you from destroying your relationship with the ladies in your life, unquote, matrix, you have to be disciplined in your philosophy and how you want to deal with women and stick to it if you're going to preserve your life, much like the majority of people know how to reduce weight. However, you should never forget that the devil can send a wolf in sheep's clothing into your life at any time, and we will find you torn up by the wayside, crawling back to the RP after it's too late. You should constantly keep this in mind. If you don't believe that divorce is responsible for 99% of all unsuccessful marriages, then you should prove it by taking the paper test. On a separate piece of paper, write down the names of everyone who has ever had a significant personal connection with you or has been in a romantic relationship with you, including anyone who has ever known you since childhood. You need to record the total after you've added up all the names and tally the results. After that, take a moment to jot down the names of everyone you see. At this point, on a piece of paper, you need to note the overall number of words you have obtained by tallying them up and making a tally. Last but not least, we should compare and contrast the two figures. Third, the overwhelming majority of people will never date more than one person in their entire life, and others won't date anyone in their whole lives. This translates to a success rate of 99%, which is very close to being perfect. So then why would you choose to do that? I'm aware that neither of you wants to hear this, but the female you are with will undoubtedly be bouncing on the digging stick of another man while the two of you are together. This is something that I am sure neither of you wants to hear. She may go out with her buddies for a girls' night and get her back blown out by a 6'4" mega chad she met on Tinder. She may use you as an excuse to take a break from the CC and give that piece of equipment a rest so it does not become threaded like vehicle tires. This is something that she will do to prevent it from getting threaded. It would help if you never got engaged in another relationship for several reasons. The most important of which is that the advantages won't even come close to justifying the amount of effort they will require. Second, many guys are put in situations where they are expected to give, yet in return, they are subjected to inhumane treatment. This places a tremendous amount of stress on these men. This is because there are not many loving women in the world. Thus, the only options you have are women willing to engage in immoral behavior or women who will give you 304s. Keep that in mind as you continue your quest. Most of the time, your significant other will not recognize the efforts you put forth and the sacrifices you make on her behalf, even though you do both, because it is not your responsibility to ensure that the women in your life are content. You will never be in a position to do so successfully. You are responsible for your obligations, and she is accountable for hers. But before I answer that, I have a question. What do you get in return when you're in a relationship? What the heck are you two doing by being involved in romantic relationships? Many of you men genuinely and honestly get treated like dirt. and you're still with the broad. Guys, even though that's how the deal you signed up for works, if that's the case, you should probably quit the plantation. Most of you guys only get the bare minimum, and you're happy to be there. She doesn't serve you or do her chores without complaining. She doesn't give you guys sex on demand later in the relationship. She also doesn't wash, cook, and clean for you. Most of you guys are just happy to be there. And first and foremost, freedom is having to pay the price of being alone and unattached. You might not end up with a lady who respects and loves you the way you deserve, but you'll still get what you want. You guys are appreciated in our community, whether you went your way or went into monk mode. So keep the line and don't live your life for a lady. Do I sometimes wish I could have acquired the female who treats me right but is also submissive, cooperative, and loyal? The philosophy of the free agent lifestyle is the one I choose to live by, and deciding to do so has proven to be the best choice I've ever made in my life up to this point. I will now read a comment made by a woman. She said, "I got involved with another man while my husband served in the military. I never imagined what would happen to me because I was raised in the church and was taught to be faithful to my spouse. The other man was a charmer. My husband called me every day, but this other man visited me and brought me gifts. We now have a divorce. He could tell him more than I thought because my daughter told him when I told him she was lying when she said the man had his hand under my skirt. Pastor, that was the truth. My daughter said the man had his hands under my dress. The pastor said that was the truth. My husband is brilliant, and I love seeing him in his uniform. The man I fell for is a nice guy, but my ex-boyfriend was willing to die with a lie if it meant she could never have her cake and eat it too. Which is why I always advise you to assume that everything they say is a lie and watch their behavior. However, in this case, the guy is in a long-distance relationship. You know how disastrous those are? And he's in the military. So my military brothers leave relationships alone. When you're out on duty, have you ever noticed how quickly ladies could switch on the phony crocodile tears when they get caught? Guys, don't let yourself get tricked. They're just using manipulation to get you to feel sorry for them. During my 2 weeks at home, my husband never once requested me to have sexual relations with him. After those 2 weeks, I finally convinced him to give me memorable last intercourse. I don't mean to offend you, Pastor, but I was the one who had to take care of everything while he was lying there in bed. It wasn't a pretty picture. I am writing you right now to ask how I can get my husband back because the relationship I had with the man that lied to his divorce for me is not working out because he has turned out to be a womanizer. I had a relationship with him that led to his divorce from me. I am writing to ask how I can get my husband back. Even though I am aware that I have behaved irresponsibly, the fact is that my daughter shouldn't have been present when the other man and I were there. She was barely 8 years under her belt at the time. When she informed her father of what she saw, she had no requirement to tell him that she had witnessed this man kissing her. Even though my husband and I can now speak much more efficiently, he has informed me that he no longer feels the same about me as he once did. In addition to that, he mentioned that he does not have any women in his life. Men, this occurs when an attempt to monkey branch fails, and the grass on the other side, which appears to be greener, turns out to be as dry as the Sahara Desert. It was a brilliant move for the husband to end their marriage. Overall, it's common for men to put in circumstances where they're expected to help others without receiving anything in return. Women are cruel to them and may result to feigning tears when they're finally caught. Don't fall for their deception. They only try to make you feel sorry for them. Nothing satisfies women. They always find something to complain about and in the end, cheat on the guy they saw. And when the time comes that they no longer need you, they always find a way to break up. In this next video, I will discuss an interesting topic that many people are curious about. Why do women want men to serve them? Is it because they're weak and need someone else to care for them? Or is there something more complex going on here? I'll explore all of this and more, so stay tuned. Be sure to check this video out to learn more.